Hello to our freaky family. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Kandi.
And this is Sips of Crime. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you all have had a fantastic weekend. How was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
Well, I didn't do anything exciting, but my husband came home with 5 baby chicks.
Yes, I heard that you had some new additions to your family.
Yeah, I'm terrified of birds. So, I can deal with the baby chicks, but I'm concerned about when they get big.
I think they are so cute.
They are cute. They're super cute. I pick them up and I mess with them, and I try to get our child to mess with them and everything. But no, I'm trying to tell myself maybe if I watch them get bigger, I'll be okay. Yeah. But I'm not. I'm so not. I know I'm not. I know I'm going to be absolutely freaking terrified.
I'm super excited to get some eggs, though.
Oh, we're going to have, well, if all 5 of them lay, you're going to get some eggs because we don't even eat that many eggs. Yeah. You had to get a minimum of 4. So
4 chickens?
Yeah, like that's to sell at Tractor Supply or wherever.
Oh. I didn't know there was a minimum.
Tractor Supply has a minimum.
Oh.
And I'm assuming that's where he got them. And he said, well, there's a minimum of 4. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so why not get 5? I'm like, why do we need 5 chickens?
I think we needed 4.
So, we have 5. And we'll see how they go.
Now, was this something that you were, aware was happening? Or did he just, call you and be like, hey, by the way, I'm bringing home...
We had talked about it. And for the longest time, I was like, no.
Oh,
absolutely
okay.
not. No. Well, then he's like, oh, our child will really love it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, do whatever you want.
Oh, God.
He's like, all right, I'm going to go get some chickens today. And I'm like, okay, not thinking that he was really going to go get some chickens. No. He came home with 5 baby chicks. Oh. So that's our new adventure. What about you? Anything new?
Truly didn't do anything super exciting. Work has been really hectic. I know I complained about work on our last episode, but no, things are just, lots of stuff has been happening. I did have my first wedding last weekend, and nice. So the wedding season is getting into full swing. I do own a wedding videography business on the side, which is kind of a strange counterpart to a true crime podcast, but here we are. But no, that wedding went off without a hitch. The couple was adorable, and their wedding was beautiful, and the weather was good.
That's always nice.
Yeah, it was. So, yeah, it was a great day, and I'm super excited to, get back into that. But that's probably the most exciting thing that's been going on with me. So we did actually, for our last episode, we had a big uptick in Apple podcast listeners.
Nice.
They took over the listener scale for our last episode. So if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, and I know we're going to say this again at the end of our episode, but make sure that you're leaving a 5-star review, because that really does help other listeners find us and get us, more higher up on the list whenever you search for something like what we do. So definitely just keep that in mind. We really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate all of the support that we've gotten so far. We've done 5 episodes. This will be our 6th. And it's just been a crazy adventure. We've had so much fun.
It's a ton of fun. And I was kind of nervous about it. But I really, really enjoy it. And I did not know there were so many people interested in true crime that really are. Mm-hmm. Even some of my friends are like, hey, oh my God, why didn't you tell me you had a podcast? I'm like, I didn't know you cared.
Yeah, it's the people that you don't even think would be into something like that, who are like, oh yeah, we watch ID Channel all the time. We love true crime podcasts.
Oh yeah, that's my channel. But
welcome to the freaky family.
Yeah.
So. All right, you guys. So, Kandi, tell the good people what we're drinking tonight.
I actually found, I wasn't really looking, but it popped out. It is a Duplin cotton candy.
Yay! Everybody on TikTok says that this is apparently super hard to find.
Really?
That's what I have.
It was at the local grocery store.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to.
And I didn't even know it was all over TikTok.
Yeah.
I just saw it and I was like, this looks interesting.
Yeah.
It says, close your eyes, take a sip of cotton candy, and let the light as and let the light as a cloud sweetness take you back to the first kiss on the Ferris wheel. Hints of vanilla and summer berries spin on a palate like giggles on a tilt-a-whirl.
My goodness, what a description.
I know, I was kind of wanting to reread it at the beginning.
I have a feeling this is going to be really, really sweet. Cheers.
Not as sweet as I thought it was going to be.
Oddly enough, it's not.
It's very
it's
subtle.
It's more vanilla forward than I was expecting it to be. But it's a
But
mild
it's good.
vanilla. Does it say what? Is there fruit? Like
It just says hints of vanilla and summer berries.
summer berries, it's probably strawberry.
It smells super sweet.
It does. I like it. It's not like anything that I can remember that we've had before.
No, it's really freaking good. Maybe that's why you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I think that everybody, like I said on TikTok, was like, oh, you have to try this, but it's really hard to find. So if you find it, grab a bottle.
And it's not as, I don't know, I expected it to be like maybe like super sweet, like a dessert wine.
Like a Moscato or a Muscadine.
Yeah, I can't do that. I mean, I can do some Muscadines, but
I can do sweeter wines like outside on my porch in the summer, on like a summer day.
yeah.
But like just for like a normal like night where I'm sipping, or like especially not with dinner. Like I want a more like drier wine with food. But like my mother, whenever like she will literally get a glass of Moscato with a piece of cake for dessert, like together, and I can't.
Oh, Joanne, honey.
Yeah,
No.
I cannot do it.
My belly would hurt.
That's what I would think.
My teeth would hurt.
Yeah, like I can feel it on my molars
Right,
now.
I can feel the sweetness. I can just feel it. Just sticking on there.
Maybe that means that I need to possibly go to the dentist a little bit more often. Oh, I have a dentist appointment on Monday.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I have one in July.
My mother.
For my every 6 month cleaning, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I am absolutely terrified of the dentist, you guys. I am a 31-year-old. Am I still 31? I'm not 32 yet, am I? Okay. And my mother still has to take me to the dentist. God bless her soul. She has to give
Your
me...
mother works at a dentist,
And
too.
she has been in the dental field all of my life. I had braces. I've been in that chair from like day one. As early as she could have gotten me in as a baby, I was in that dentist chair. So there is nothing that I can equate this terrible anxiety that I have around the dentist to. I really have no excuse.
So do you have to take like a nerve pill?
Yes, I have to. She gives me 2 Valium, and I
Go off in La La Land.
Yes, I do. I get to the dentist. We get through it, and then she gets me a milkshake afterwards.
That's the only reason you go.
And then I go home and I go to bed.
Yeah, I bet so. After taking 2 Valiums.
I have to go on Monday. I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, well, if you remember, you can FaceTime me.
No, I will be out.
Oh,
Passed out.
that is too funny.
Lord.
What do you got for me today?
All right, you guys. So I have a bit of a humorous one for us today. And I say that lightly. Because, I mean, let's face it. You all know why you're here. It's a murder podcast.
Our last one was a little doozy, though. So.
Our last one was a doozy, so I wanted to find something more lighthearted, which I would like to point out is hard to do when we're talking about true crime and murder. But today, we are going to be covering the Giggling Granny.
Oh, I'm so interested in this.
Yes, and I'm going to read you a recipe of hers. So, this is Nannie's apple and prune pie. Takes approximately 45 minutes. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees baking temp. Your ingredients is 1 cup of water, 1 cup of flour, half a cup of butter, 3 eggs, pinch of sugar, 4 sliced apples, 1 cup of dried prunes, a dash of granulated sugar, 5 tablespoons of rat poison. Bring water to boil, butter, and sugar. At boil, stir in flour. Over low heat, continue to stir until able to form a doughy ball. Into the dough, mix egg mixture, well beaten, until ball is smooth. Grease a 9-inch pan tin. Roll out pastry, lining bottom and sides of the pan with pastry dough, and then clipping the sides. Add apples, prunes in hearty layers. It is best to soak the prunes overnight in rat poison. Generic hardware store variety will do quite well. After spreading apples and prunes into the shell, pour the lethal juice of marinated prunes over the apples. Juice adds extra flavor and conceals the taste of rat poison. Cover pie with leftover dough in preheated oven for 45 minutes, checking on it occasionally. Top with granulated sugar while the crust is still hot and fresh from the oven. Needless to say, this pie is to die for. So grab a glass.
Grab a friend.
And let's dive in. Nannie Doss was born Nancy Hazel on November 4th of 1905 in Blue Mountain, Alabama, to Louisa and James F. Hazel. Nannie was one of 5 children. She had 1 brother and 3 sisters. Both Nannie and her mother hated James, who was a controlling and abusive father and husband. James would force his children to work on the family farm, sometimes refusing to let the children go to school, resulting in, poor academic performance, obviously.
But I feel like that, a lot of families, that's what you did. You worked on the farm. You didn't go to school.
You had a bunch of kids to do so
or
as well.
Or you went to school for like X amount of years, and it wasn't even till what, like 3rd, 4th grade or year 5, whatever. Yeah. And you worked on the farm.
Yes, he ultimately wouldn't even let them go to school, even if they wanted to. He was very strict with his daughters. Makeup was not allowed. Silk stockings were considered sinful, and form-fitting dresses were absolutely slutty. No daughter of his would tempt the male libido. At age 7, while the family was taking a train to visit relatives in southern Alabama, Nannie hit her head on a metal bar on the seat in front of her when the train stopped suddenly. For years after, she suffered severe headaches, blackouts, and depression. During childhood, however, her favorite hobby was reading her mother's romance magazines and dreaming of her own romantic future. Later, her favorite part was the Lonely Hearts column in the newspaper. She really got swept up in this whole, idyllic marriage and, the idea of love and, these romance magazines and
like your any
books.
Normal romance book.
Oh, I think it's
that,
every...
sweeps you off your feet.
Yeah, it's every little girl's dream to, find their Prince Charming.
Fairy tale.
Absolutely. In 1921, Doss went to work at the Linen Thread Company in nearby Anniston, where she met Charles, or Charlie, Braggs. She was 16 at the time. Braggs wooed Doss, and they married 4 months later with her father's approval.
At 16?
At 16. Yes. Things quickly went downhill, though, because Braggs was the only son of a single mother who insisted on continuing to live with him after he married. Yeah. His paycheck supported her, and he treated his mother like a queen, always at her beck and call. Braggs' mother took up a lot of his attention and limited Nannie's activity. If they had planned to go see a movie, his mother would suddenly fall ill and need her son's, attention and time. Or if they had plans to go out to eat, his mother would come up with some chore that needed to be done instead. Nannie would later write, quote, "I married, as my father wished, in 1921, to a boy I only knowed for 4 or 5 months, who had no family, only a mother who was unwed, and who had taken over my life completely when we were married. She never seen anything wrong with what she done," unquote. And, this is probably really traumatizing for her, because, she obviously had fantasized this idea of marriage, met this charming guy that her father, of all people, approved of.
And she expected to be wooed. And
right, exactly. And
what happened in these romance books. And
right, and she ends up really going from, one abusive relationship to another, where, the abuser was her father, now it's her husband's mother. That, would probably screw up anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nannie and Charles, however, despite all of the issues, had 4 daughters between 1923 and 1927. The stressed-out Nannie started drinking, and her casual smoking habit became a heavy addiction.
I'm surprised she was even able to have kids with him being with his mommy all the time.
Both unhappy partners correctly suspected each other of infidelity, and Braggs often disappeared for days on end. In 1927, the couple lost their 2 middle girls to suspected food poisoning. Soon after, Braggs took firstborn daughter Melvina and fled, leaving newborn Florine behind. Bragg's mother died not much later, and Nannie took a job in a cotton mill to support Florine and herself. Braggs brought Melvina back in the summer of 1928, accompanied by a divorcee with her own children. Braggs and Nannie soon divorced, and Nannie taking her 2 girls back to her mother's home. Braggs always maintained he left her because he was frightened of her. So, I had an extremely hard time finding pictures with supporting, like, what they were. So, according to what I could find, this is Nannie. This is Melvina, her grown daughter.
Oh,
we're gonna get there here in just a minute. Now,
she looks really mean.
Yeah, according to the story, Melvina had 2 sons. But according to what I could find in this picture, are the daughters of one of her children. So those are her 2 granddaughters. Yeah, but I wasn't able to find out who it was.
Right.
So that's 2 of her grandchildren, her daughter, and Nannie.
I mean, if looks could kill, look at her look.
Yeah.
And don't forget, these will be posted on Instagram, of course.
Yeah, definitely jump over there and check out to follow along with us. The pictures are my favorite part. Like, that is one of the things about podcasts that I've always done.
When I look at it and I, like, look for the story and search it and stuff, and I'm trying to find certain pictures, and I can't find them, or even if I'm just looking for pictures, I'm just like, especially on the stories that don't have anything, I'm like, this is baloney.
Yeah, and like
I want pictures.
I know, it brings everything like full circle for me. So like, you know, like I said, if you guys are the same, definitely jump over to our Facebook or our Instagram, because we do post the supporting pictures that we're actually discussing in the podcast on both of those platforms. Okay, so at this point, Charlie and Nannie are divorced officially, and he has left with this divorcee. Her second husband was Robert Franklin Harrelson. They met through a Lonely Hearts ad in the newspaper and married in 1929. They lived in Jacksonville with Melvina and Florine. After a few months, she discovered that he was an alcoholic and had a criminal record for assault. Despite this, their marriage lasted for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Melvina gave birth to Robert Lee Haynes in 1943 at the age of 20. Another baby followed 2 years later, but died soon afterwards. Exhausted from labor and groggy from ether.
Ether?
Apparently that's a thing back then that they gave. I didn't do a lot of research on it. It was from a doctor. She was taking this ether. Anyway, I'm just going to give everybody a bit of a trigger warning here. And I guess you as well. You deserve one too.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm prepared for some pretty rough stuff.
Exhausted from labor and groggy from ether, Melvina thought she saw her visiting mother stick a hat pin into the baby's head.
What?
She thinks she might have imagined this, though, because of the drugs that she was on. But when she asked her husband and sister for clarification, they said Nannie had told them the baby was dead, and they noticed that she was holding a pin. The doctors, however, couldn't give a positive explanation to the baby's death, and of course, Melvina chalked this up to be a figment of her imagination and thought her mother could never be capable of something like this. So, that is where we are going to leave that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The grieving parents drifted apart, and Melvina started dating a soldier. Nannie disapproved of him, and while Melvina was visiting her father, after a particularly nasty fight with her mother, her son Robert died mysteriously under Nannie's care in 1945 in July. The death was diagnosed as asphyxia from unknown causes, and 2 months later, Nannie collected a $500 life insurance policy that she had taken out on Robert that no one knew she had.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And you guys probably think like, oh, it's just $500. But back then, $500 was a lot more than what $500 is now.
It was. I mean, it wasn't, a huge jump. It was 1905, so, I mean, it's definitely worth more now. But it wasn't a huge policy to have. It wasn't suspicious, at least.
Right, but still, like, you took it out.
Mm-hmm.
And
nobody knew you had it.
All right, so since this is getting, a little more...
Gotta fill her up.
Yeah. Would you like me to fill you up too?
Absolutely.
I mean, since we seem to be getting a little out there with Miss Nannie here. Okay.
In 1945, Japan surrendered to the Allied powers at the end of World War II, and Harrelson, her husband, was amongst the most robust partiers. After an evening of particularly heavy drinking, he attacked and raped Nannie. The next day, she discovered Harrelson's corn whiskey jar buried in the ground while she tended the rose garden.
Was he hiding it? Did he get drunk? And
I mean, it's not like he hid his drinking, so I don't really understand why he felt the need.
Maybe he was just drunk and was like, oh, let me go put this somewhere. I don't know. Just, let me go put this in the dirt. I don't know.
I unfortunately couldn't find a reason as to why it would be buried in the ground. If you guys know, let us know. Yeah. So she found it. The rape had been the last straw for her, so she took the jar and topped it off with rat poison. As a result, Harrelson died that evening. Nannie met her third husband.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait. Did they not do autopsies for rat poison back then?
I will get there.
Oh, okay.
But it's a very good question.
I'm just wondering how we're already going to the third husband and ain't nothing suspicious.
Yep.
Okay.
Nannie met her third husband, Arlie Laning, through another Lonely Hearts column while traveling to Lexington, North Carolina, and married him 3 days later.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is this woman?
Like Harrelson, Lanning was an alcoholic, a womanizer, and however, in this marriage, it was Nannie who often disappeared, and for months on end. But when she was home, she played the doting housewife.
How the hell do you disappear?
She would just...
And you just come back and everything's hunky-dory.
My husband would flip his lid.
I wouldn't be married.
Right, I know, I would no longer be married. Yeah, there would be, divorce papers waiting on me, for sure.
The first time I left.
Yeah, for sure. During this time, they allowed Arlie's nephew to move in with them. Unfortunately, he mysteriously dies of, quote, food poisoning, unquote. And just a few months later, so did Arlie. However, his death was said to be heart failure.
All right, so we have, 3 food poisonings, rat poisoning so far?
And a hat pin.
Oh, and a hat pin.
Supposedly.
And a mysterious heart failure.
All of this is
around
supposedly.
Nannie.
Except for the rat poison. I mean, she
I mean, yeah, she said yes to the rat poison in the whiskey. But, all this surrounds her.
Mm-hmm. Everywhere she goes. After Arlie's death, the couple's house actually burned down. The insurance money went to Nannie, who quickly banked it after Arlene's mother died in her sleep. Nannie left North Carolina and ended up at her sister Dovey's house. Dovey was bedridden, and as you can probably guess, soon after Nannie's arrival, she was also dead.
What?
Yeah. Looking for yet another husband, Nannie joined a dating service called, wait for this, quote, the Diamond Circle Club, unquote.
The Diamond Circle Club. That sounds...
How 1950s cruise yacht, old people's, community. I'm sorry, it just sounds so 50s and, something that, your grandparents would join and think was, super exclusive.
Is this I'm assuming because, there wasn't, full-fledged, internet.
Well, one of the things that I'm really concerned about...
a group?
Yeah, that's what kind of weirds me out about the whole idea. They classify it as a dating service, but the name is Diamond Circle Club.
So is it a swingers club?
Yeah, what is this? What is going on?
Is it like Love is Blind? Have you seen that?
No, what is that?
It's a show on Netflix. And they go into these pods, and hold on, y'all, this is totally off subject, but you go into these pods, and you can't see the other person. You can just talk to them.
Uh-huh.
And then you keep talking to them, and, you, I guess, choose the people that you want to talk to. Well, then when you're ready to see them, or you think you want to, have a relationship with them, you propose to them.
What?
Yeah, you ask them to marry, or the guy asks to marry you.
Before they even see you?
Yeah, and then that's how you get to see each other. You propose, and then the next day you see each other. And then you're...
After the proposal, you have to wait a whole nother day?
I mean, like, they propose... Who knows? I don't know. They did... I'm assuming because they'll say, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. So I assume it's tomorrow.
And then everybody just walks out?
No, not everybody. Just those two people that proposed or whatever.
Okay.
And, like, you can see, like, them talking to everybody and, like, who they're, like, smitten on or whatever. Propose and they meet each other, and then, like, you can see by some of their faces they're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then you got, like, these really shallow people. Well, only really one shallow person in the last season. But,
this is something that you, like, watch on a normal basis.
I did watch it. I did. I watched their hour-long episodes, and I watched it in, like, a freaking week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
These reality TV shows, I can't. You guys, one of the things that you should know about me is I hate reality TV. I hate it. I can see the entertainment side of it.
You were a Laguna Beach fan.
I was just about to say, like, whenever I was younger, I watched a ton of Laguna Beach, The Hills, the Newlyweds.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica and Nick. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, my point, that's the extent of my knowledge of the reality TV show. I never got into, like, the dating shows, like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I don't watch any of that.
Now, our friend Sarah is, like, obsessed. Like, she knows all of their names, all of their backstories. Like, she could tell you who's who. She keeps up with them afterwards. Like, she watches interviews. Like, she... Okay. Like, if you need to know anything about a past bachelor or a past bachelorette, she can tell you.
I've never even watched it, so...
Yeah. But there's, like, huge fans that I cannot get into it anymore. I just can't.
That's the only one I've watched recently. Other than that, you know, I'm freaking watching Paw Patrol and Blaze and blah, blah, all that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You know, all that stuff. And then, I'm occasionally, when no one's home, I can watch my ID Discovery.
Yes.
Or Identity Discovery, whatever that channel is.
For sure. Okay, well, after that tangent... Okay, she joins the dating service called the Diamond Circle Club. And soon after that meets Richard L. Morton of Jamestown, North Carolina.
So this is number 4. 4?
Yes.
Okay.
They married in 1952 in Kansas. He didn't have a drinking problem, but he wasn't adulterous. Soon after their marriage, her mother, Louisa, fell ill, and Nannie, of course, came to the rescue and offered to take care of her and moved her mother into their home. To our surprise, her mother was dead by February of 1953. Morton unfortunately dies 3 months later on May 19th of 1953. So they're dropping like flies. A month later, in June of 1953. Okay, so Morton dies in May 1953. In June, Nannie married Samuel Doss.
That's not even a month later.
She married Samuel Doss of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We're on number 5.
Yes, we are. She really gets around, too. Like, all of these different cities and states. Like,
I mean, I was going to say, oh my God, she already went to Kansas and North Carolina, but, like, I didn't, when you said that, I took it a different way.
No, I meant it in both ways.
Okay.
100%.
So it's like...
She really gets around both ways. Now.
All right, Nannie.
Doss was a minister who had lost his family to a tornado in Carroll County, Arkansas. Samuel disapproved of the romance novels and stories that his wife adored. He simply made the mistake of telling his wife that she could only read magazines or watch television shows that were for educational purposes.
Who the heck are you?
In September, Samuel was admitted to the hospital with flu-like symptoms. Now,
I'm not going to tell Nannie what she can't watch.
Right. Now, the hospital diagnosis was severe digestive tract infection. Okay? He was treated and was released from the hospital on October 5th after a month-long stay in the hospital.
Jeez.
Yeah, so he's not dead. He is being treated, and his doctors are...
For like a stomach issue.
Exactly. His doctors are very attentive to him, very a part of, you know, this diagnosis and, like, trying to get him better, and they release him ultimately with a full, like a clean bill of health. Okay? This is where Nannie messes up. So he's released on October 5th, and Samuel dies on October 12th. And Nannie collected the 2 life insurance policies that she had taken out on him. Now, this sudden death alerted his doctor, who was like, okay, no way.
7 days.
So, in 7 days. So, his doctor's like, I sent this guy home, and 7 days later, he's dead. Like,
Yep.
no way. This savvy doctor, who obviously is baffled by this man's death, sudden death after being released with a full bill of health, orders an autopsy. Finally. Husband number 5 is the first one to have a legitimate autopsy done. Up until this point, everybody's deaths were ultimately ruled as something different.
Right.
Heart failure.
Food poisoning. A
lot of them were alcoholics. Mm-hmm. So a lot of doctors were like, oh, he drinks too much. It's liver failure. It's, and none of there wasn't any autopsies done on those people to confirm any of those things. It was just kind of a written off thing, and everybody moved on. So Samuel's autopsy, however, revealed a huge amount of arsenic in his system, and Nannie was promptly arrested. That's her mugshot.
She's like smirking. I mean, maybe not like a full smirk, but she's like,
Yeah.
Took you long enough.
Okay, so she's arrested. Nannie confesses to killing 4 of her husbands, her mother, her sister, her grandson, and her mother-in-law. She stated to the police, quote, I was searching for the perfect mate, the real romance in life. That, of course, does not explain all of her other family members. So authorities exhume some of Doss's previous victims and find extraordinary amounts of arsenic or rat poison in their bodies. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a big ordeal, too. Like, back, 1950s, I mean, they're exhuming these bodies and then finally doing autopsies.
But why did she admit it?
We're going to get into that a little bit. Well, I'm not able to give you an actual reason as to why she admitted it, but you're going to get some insight into her personality.
Yes, thank you for admitting it, Nannie. That's the right thing to do.
It is.
But I don't feel like most murderers or killers or criminals will admit to something if they are not being accused of it. Like, they just ain't going to bring it up.
Well, at this point, they knew it was her. And then
by now.
Yeah. Okay. It turns out that a common household ingredient at that time was a potent way to kill somebody and without anyone suspecting a thing. The Giggling Granny's calling card was to poison her loved ones with drinks or food spiked with huge amounts of poison. Little did authorities know, but Nannie had already started corresponding with a man who she desired as husband number 6. John Keel, a 60-year-old milkman from Goldsboro, North Carolina, had been exchanging letters with Nannie for quite some time. So he got away. So the only 2 people that got away was her first husband, Charlie Braggs, because he claims that he feared her and left, and then this John Keel guy. Nannie Doss was prosecuted by J. Howard Edmondson, who later became governor of Oklahoma. She pleaded guilty on May 17th of 1955 and was sentenced to life in prison. The state, however, did not pursue the death penalty due to her sex. So the fact that she was a woman, she escapes the death penalty.
Well, I feel like that's a little discrimination.
Yeah. Doss was never charged with any other deaths. Doss blamed her murderous escapades on her brain injury from when she was 7 on the train. Yeah.
Oh, my Jesus.
Yep. Meanwhile, journalists gave her the nickname the Giggling Granny. Every time she would tell the story of how she killed her late husbands, she would flirt and laugh with the police officers and reporters. And this is her.
Oh, look at her, smiling like it's nothing.
With a police officer doing an interview. Yeah, he's a cop.
She's like,
and she's just
let me
like,
take you home and kill you too.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yes. Doss died from leukemia in the hospital ward of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in 1965.
Dang it, she made it to Oklahoma too?
She did. Shortly before her death, she explained to a reporter that, quote, "When they get short-handed here in the kitchen, I offer to step in and help, but they never let me." Unquote.
You're gonna kill everybody. I wouldn't let you help
I
either.
wonder why. And that is the story of Nannie Doss, the giggling granny.
Wow.
It's
crazy to me that she made it, like, through all these people before someone caught her.
Yeah. It is a baffling tale of, just being in the presence of so much death on a normal basis. And one of the things that I did read, which I wanted to address because you had brought it up, that she even told police officers that, like, the life insurance policies from her grandson and her late husband's, and even from the burned down house, those were not her motives. It was ultimately the fact that she had this fantasy. Like I said in the quote that I read, she was looking for the true, real romance of her life. And ultimately, when these men would disappoint her, she would just be like, well, on to the next. Got to get rid of you.
Oh my God.
So she was, like, becoming bored with these men and just, like, doing away with them so that she could move on in hopes to find this love of her life that, may or may not have been out there.
She probably would have killed him too.
Yeah, so it was never really about the money. I mean, and none of the insurance payouts were, like, extremely substantial.
Right.
I mean, like you said, $500 is definitely more now than it was in 1905, but, like, still, like, it wasn't a whole lot more.
Right.
And that, the house insurance that she got from the burned down house, like, was just enough for her to buy some new land, I mean, it really wasn't any type of, like, substantial, she wasn't utilizing that to, like, live on, like some people do, So, yes, that is Nannie. And I'm hoping this one was just a little bit more lighthearted. I mean, obviously, it's terrible what she did, but I hope it gave you a good laugh.
I'm not eating any of your pie.
Yeah, I have the recipe at this point, so you really can't trust me anymore.
It's okay. I'm not a baker. I'm a cooker, but I'm not a baker. I
can cook. I cannot bake to save my life. Those little cookies that you buy at the store?
That are pre-mixed?
They're pre-made and they're already cut in those little squares. I mess those up.
Like the Christmas ones and bunny ones?
Those I actually can handle. It's the chocolate chip ones that are like squares and they're already cut. Yeah. I mess them up.
I can bake some stuff, but, like, if I try to bake a freaking cake, it ain't happening. It's sticking to my pan. Or if I try to do, like, a bundt cake, the whole thing falls apart and it's not good. I
have never successfully made a cake. I don't bake. But I can cook. I do cook. I vastly enjoy to cook. Yes. But you don't have to worry about any of my pies. Like, that would be your first sign. No, but, like, the day that you come over to my house and I'm like, oh, I made a pie. Look how pretty it is.
I'm going to walk out on the back porch. I'm going to chuck that thing.
Chuck it.
Chuck it.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong with it.
Be like,
because Michelle's done lost it. Because I do not bake.
Oh, gosh. All right, so we did get a listener's tale in, so make sure you guys do send us those so we can have something to say at the end. I mean, we'll find something to say, but we would really, really like the listener tales because we really enjoy those. I think you guys would enjoy them. So,
and hopefully eventually we'll get enough to, like, actually do, like, a listener's tale episode, like, where it's just, which would be so much fun. Yeah, I think that you guys would really enjoy that. So definitely keep those coming to us. We really enjoy reading them.
All right, so we do have one for today.
That goes to my shelf. Underneath there somewhere. Good God. Hold, please.
Alright, we're back. Shelf fixed. Wine poured.
Oh, you guys, I can't. Oh, God. Okay, so our listener's tale does come from a member of our freaky family who does choose to keep her and her friend in the story anonymous.
I don't blame you, girl.
Yeah, no,
boy,
hey,
whoever.
You are welcome to stay anonymous. Send us all of the anonymous spooky tales. I love it. So, her story starts. About 10 years ago, my friend, who we're going to call A. Oh, no. Do you know how much PTSD I have
Pretty
about
Little
that
Liars?
from Pretty Little Liars?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, no.
Did you ever watch the show?
Yeah, so I actually read the books.
Yeah, remember
first.
we traded books.
Yes, we used to read the books before even the show was like a thing.
Yeah.
And then we started watching the show. Or at least I did. I watched the show.
I tried, but I could not get into it. It was not the same.
It was not.
Sorry.
It was not the same.
It wasn't the same, and I never finished it.
I did finish the series, just because even though it wasn't like the same story, it was still a good story.
Yeah, maybe I should try to rewatch it.
Because you read the books, I will tell you the ending. You made it to the end of the book series.
Oh yeah, I read every book.
Okay,
I was so upset that it ended. Yeah,
so the ending of the series is actually similar, but with a twist. So now that my anxiety about your friend A. About 10 years ago, my friend A started experiencing things when alone in her apartment. At the time, she was newly married and had not long settled into their new apartment. Me, having never experienced paranormal activity before, I was totally creeped out and thought she was crazy. When she was alone in the apartment, she would see a black figure in the mirrors, on the walls, at random times of the day. A girl. Lord have mercy. Eventually, she started suffering from sleep deprivation. Her husband totally brushed her off. Well, screw him. I don't like him already. Her husband totally brushed her off when she would open up to him about it in the beginning, but later admitted he had also seen, quote, things, unquote, even as a child. So
so it followed him.
Yeah, you're probably the reason it's there, buddy. Good Lord. I shared A's experiences with another friend of mine who was very eager to meet her. I thought nothing of it. Friday night rolled around, and A and I went to visit my friend. We walked up the stairs and have a seat on the couch. As soon as we sat down, A starts hysterically crying and runs outside. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, quote, it's here. It's in the mirror at the end of the hallway, unquote. Woo!
Ooh, I got chills.
Yeah, me too. Like, oh my gosh. I have literal goosebumps.
So, he done brought it in our house.
Yes.
It done attached to her, and now it's followed her.
My friend gets her calmed down and convinces her to come back inside. This time, A sat in a different chair on the other side of the living room. No sooner than she sat down, A started crying again. My friend said, quote, it's okay, I see it too. As long as you continue to be afraid, it will stay with you, unquote. By this point, I'm extremely confused and wondering what I've gotten myself into. Yeah, no, me too. I'm actually right there with you,
Where's
right
the
here.
Chills? Why do you not have chills? Because I'm just listening to the story, and the back of my, I don't really have hair on the back of my neck, but down my whole damn daggone spine is just...
Yeah, this one's intense. My friend, who had never met A before, didn't know anything about her other than that she was a friend of mine and has been experiencing this. She knew everything about A. She knew that A was worried about her brother. She spoke on very private family issues that even I didn't fully know. How else would she know this stuff about A? To my surprise, she was a medium.
That's pretty cool.
That is so cool. Have you ever had, like, your tarot cards read or, like, your palm read?
Mm-mm. I mean, I would so do it.
I would like to, but, like, I would try my hardest to keep, like, just, like, a stone face, because, like, you have all those frauds out there, you know, who, like, read facial expressions and stuff.
RBF.
Yeah. And so, like,
I got that real good.
Yeah. Resting bitch face. Just keep it. But, like, I would love to, like, have something like that done just for fun. Now, this is important for me to add. In the beginning of A's sufferings, I visited her one night and noticed that her apartment smelled like iron. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Very strong smelling iron that you could even taste, like licking a spoon. That night in my friend's living room, there was the iron smell again. After about 2 hours of my friend and A talking, I spoke up and said, quote, Y'all, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't see anything. If this thing is here, what is it? I want to touch it. Unquote. I was just in such disbelief. Sure enough, my friend pointed to behind her chair. I walked over and stuck my hand out. Man, it was like I had stepped into a freezer.
Oh my gosh.
I have fixed the hair of the deceased for funerals, and I can tell you that's the coldest cold that you'll ever feel. The night when I stuck my hand out, I've never felt a cold like that. Every hair on my body was standing. Just like mine right now.
Oh my God.
I sat back down and didn't say a word the rest of the night. In conclusion, after about a year of marriage, A left her husband. And guess what? She never saw the black figure again.
Because he brought it.
Because he brought it. It was his fault. Yes. 100%. Good for you, A.
Yeah. I would have left his butt too.
For sure.
Take you and your shenanigans home somewhere.
Elsewhere. Now, years later, she has seen unusual things again, but nothing of that magnitude, like when she was married to her ex-husband. Makes you wonder, did her experience open her up to experiencing more things?
Probably. I could see that. Like,
it's a great philosophical question.
I could see that though. Like, really though.
Well, a lot of people...
She saw it. She believed it.
Right.
So now...
It's drawn to her. Things are more drawn to believers.
Right. And, like, she knows it's there, but, like, maybe now she's not, like... Now that she's aware of it, she's not afraid of it.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, sometimes, you know, I've noticed, you know, in just a consistent thing about people who frequently experience paranormal activity, it's because they believe in it. Mm-hmm. And I believe, you know, that people who don't believe in it are probably experiencing paranormal things, but are brushing it off as something else. They're trying to explain it, and they say, oh, it was the wind, or oh, it was
I have a really
this.
good friend that it has experienced stuff like that. Like, her sister's experienced stuff like that and everything, and she even says, you know, like, if it knows that you're scared, or it knows that it can get to you, then it will. But if you, I guess, show your dominance, or pray, or show that you're not scared, it kind of leaves you alone, or whatever.
Well, I also think, like, I mean, we have to probably admit to ourselves, you know, I mean, if we're going to venture into this idea that paranormal activity is a realistic thing, we have to also admit to ourselves that not all of it is terrifying. Not all of it is scary. Not all spirits are bad. Not, you know, they're not all demons from hell. I mean, I think that it is something that, you know, people can experience in a peaceful way without it being scary. Yeah. But what scares us is that unknown portion of it. You know, not necessarily what's happening.
It's all known to me. All unknown to me. Can't even talk.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I've never personally experienced anything like that, you know, but I will say that, like, I do believe in energy. Like, one of the things that is a huge thing for me is energy. Like, when I meet somebody new, or if I'm feeling super, like, anxious, which is not a normal thing for me. I'm never anxious. Like, that's just you. It's just not who I am. I'm really somebody who should worry more about the things in my life. But I've just noticed that, like, I feel like I can always equate, like, you know, the way that I'm feeling and the energy that I'm, you know, I match the energy around me. And I think that has a...
But I do also think that, like, me being super anxious all the time, being around you, everyone's so happy, you're so happy, and so that calms me down. And then, of course, you're there to be like, what do you want to drink? Do you want some wine? Do you want some cider? I got this. I'm like, yes, I do.
I want all of those things.
So I think that your bubbly personality helps my anxiety, and I think that is why we're such good friends.
Well, I am so glad that I can bestow positive energy on you and on your life. You can join our freaky little family both on Instagram and Facebook, and find all of the featured photos from this episode
at Sips of Crime.
For a chance to have your story featured on one of our future episodes, send us a Gmail
to sipsofcrime@gmail.com.
And you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we would really appreciate you giving us a 5-star review because it really helps other people find our podcasts and our episodes. Thanks for listening. Stay alive.